of all, I'd like to thank you, Sheila, for giving me the opportunity, and also my family and friends for coming and supporting me over the years with my paintings, all in the back there. I originally grew up in the small town of Ballybay, Ireland, and where my early introduction to poetry, can you hear me? Was under the stick-wielding tutelage of one portly and one skinny pair of nuns, Sister Philomena and Sister Martina, aka Laurel and Hardy. Their mission was not only to save my soul from eternal damnation, but to maintain the Gaelic culture. So poets like Patrick Kavanagh, Padraig Colum, Seamus Heaney, James Joyce, and the likes were read and memorized, often in Gaelic. And I can still recite many to this day. Because you know, the stick, it worked. High school provided me with a broader range of poets, and it was here I discovered my love of poetry. My two favorite poems to this day are The Late Gyle of Innisfree by William Butler Yeats and The Daffodils by William Wordsworth. Got it right. I read them often and I'm transported to a place that allows me to paint and create. And if I have a time at the end, I'll read a stanza from each. Love, friendship, loss, beauty, aging, good versus evil, creation and destruction are universal themes. And I look to many sources for inspiration in my work, but it is the poem I embrace for its sparseness, its rhythm, and its ability to induce emotion and create images. The poet's ability to distill his thoughts into a concise and structured stream of sentences help me connect to a concept. Poets are the magic weavers of words, and as a painter, I look for that magic to flow through my brush. Leonardo da Vinci said, "Painting is poetry that is seen rather than felt, and poetry is painting felt rather than seen." So let's see some poetry. And I'm going to go quickly through the slides and read a poem or a couple of stanzas that relate to the work. Love in the Time of Roses. She moved through the air. The title of this painting is a play on the line in the poem She Moved Through the Fair, inspired by the poem Our Wedding Day by Padraig Colum, and later adapted to song. My young love said to me, my mother won't mind, and my father won't slight you for your lack of kind. And she laid her hand on me, and this she did say, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day. As she stepped away from me, and she moved through the fair, and fondly I watched her, move here and move there. And she made her way homeward, which with one star awake, as the moon in the evening moved over the lake. The people were saying, no two e'er regret, but one had a sorrow that never was said. And I smiled as she passed with her goods and her gear, and that was the last that I saw of my dear. Last night she came to me, my dead love came in, so softly she came, that her feet made no din. And she laid her hands on me, and this she did say, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day. Sometimes it's a line in the poetry, or the overall tone may be the inspiration. Imagery in my paintings like the roses in the hearts allude to love, the fragility of love, the passing of time. The following works were inspired by the early English lyric poets such as Robert Burns, My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose, and The Last Rose of Summer by Thomas Moore. And this is just a continuation of the wedding theme from the first poem. 'Tis the last rose of summer, left blooming alone, all her lovely companions are faded and gone. No flower of her kindred, no rosebud is nigh, to reflect back her blushes or give sigh for sigh. And I'm just reading one stanza from this poem. Lovers. And this was inspired by the drinking song by William Butler Yeats. who's my favorite. Wine comes in at the mouth, and love comes in at the eye. That's all we shall know for truth before we grow old and die. I lift the glass to my mouth, and I look at you, and I sigh. Sorry. This was inspired by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Oh, oh, you will be sorry is the title of her song. Oh, oh, you will be sorry for that word. Give me back my book and take my kiss instead. Was it my enemy or my friend I heard? What a big book for such a little head. Come, I will show you now my newest hat, and you may watch me purse my mouth and prink. Oh, I shall love you still and all of that. I never again shall tell you what I think. I shall be sweet and crafty, soft and sly. You will not catch me reading anymore. I shall be called a wife to pass by. And someday when you knock and push the door, some same day, not too bright and not too stormy, I shall be gone, and you may whistle for me. Next up were the bold, the old, and the beautiful. This one, it's called Not Amused Muses, and I used the three muses as a theme in the next series of paintings to represent the beauty and creativity within, despite the demise of our physical world. So, Splash of Muses. This poem was inspired by Anna Hempstead Branch, and she was born in 1875, believe it or not. So, again, the universality of the theme. Grieve not, ladies. Oh, grieve not, ladies, if at night you wake to feel your beauty going. It was a web of frail delight, inconstant as an April snow. In other eyes, in other lands, in deeper pools, new beauty lingers, but like spent water in your hands, it runs from your reluctant fingers. And there's three more stanzas to that poem. And this is just a continuation of the same theme, Race Against Time, Church Lady. God's World by Edna St. Vincent Millay. I'm just going to read the first 5 lines of this sonnet. O world, I cannot hold thee close enough. Thy winds, thy wide grey skies, thy mists that roll and rise, thy woods this autumn day that ache and sag, and all but cry with colour. That gaunt crag to crush, to lift the lean of that black bluff. World, world, I cannot get thee close enough. And these are my current works that I'm working on. I'm kind of going in reverse chronological order. This one was inspired by Sylvia Plath, and it's kind of my tongue-in-cheek version of it. Mirror. I am silver and exact. I have no preconceptions. Whatever you see, I swallow immediately, just as it is, unmisted by love or dislike. I am not cruel, only truthful, the eye of a little god, four-cornered. Most of the time, I meditate on the opposite wall. It is pink with speckles. I have looked at it so long, I think it is part of my heart, but it flickers. Faces in darkness separate us over and over. Now I am a lake. A woman bends over me, searching my reaches for what she really is. Then she turns to those liars, the candles, or the moon. I see her back and reflect it faithfully. She rewards me with tears and an agitation of hands. I am important to her. She comes and goes. Each morning it is her face that replaces the darkness. In me she has drowned a young girl, and in me an old woman, rises towards her day after day like a terrible fish. More of the same theme. And this is my sort of counter sentiment to the aging. You go, girl. And last but not least, Nancy Sin, Susan. Nancy Sin is a combination of 3 sources of inspiration. The first one was a poem by actually Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. There was a little girl. And the other one is Nancy Sinatra and her boots were made for walking. And the last one was my daughter's early childhood drawings of heart heads. So, I'll read you Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's There Was a Little Girl. I think you'll remember it. There was a little girl who had a little curl right in the middle of her forehead. And when she was good, she was very, very good indeed. But when she was bad, she was horrid. And from this Nancy Sin series, I was able to really go to work on a large theme, or a large body of work. So from that poem and the drawing of my daughters and Nancy Sin, these boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. Because one of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. I know it's not poetry, it's lyric, but I like it, she likes it. And the last one, Nancy wants her own poem, so I gotta go home and write one for her, and thank you so much.